So a few months ago, I put a shout out on social media asking you guys, question, name rookie travel mistakes you've seen first-time solo travelers make. You guys came back with a really juicy list. It is very stacked. So, oh boy, today I'm gonna share it with you. I challenge you to watch the very end and take count of how many rookie travel mistakes you've made that I've listed here. In the end, let me know in the comments section how you did and which has been the toughest one for you. Hey there, all my girl travelers, welcome back. I'm Christine Kaaloa of GRRRLTRAVELER. I take you inside my solo travel adventures so that you can find confidence traveling alone too. Now, if you're new to my channel, then please subscribe. Just hit that bell notifications icon up there so you don't miss out on a single video. All of my videos are filmed 100% by moi in the field so that you can have a blueprint for your own travels. In today's video, I'm sharing 25 biggest travel mistakes first-time solo travelers make and how to avoid them. The first travel mistake not to make is overpacking. Rookie travelers tend to pack clothes for every day and for an outfit for every occasion. Now this adds up. Experienced travelers know that we only need to take a small amount of outfits and we end up recycling them. And this just happens naturally for some reason. You kind of get into this groove where you don't want to change clothes too often. If your suitcase is too full and too packed, not only do you have to carry it around, but if you buy any souvenirs, well, that kind of like falls over. And I've seen girls at the airport just like sitting under a suitcase and trying to shove things in. It's a really sad sight to see. When I pack, I will always try to leave at least 1/3 of my luggage empty. And this allows me to further pack in the future when I buy souvenirs. 2. The next travel mistake to avoid is arriving at a destination at a bad hour. And when I mean a bad hour, I'm mostly meaning like the time like 11 p.m. to 4 a.m. Many businesses are closed and you will have limited support should anything like emergencies happen. What I will always do, obviously, is plan for safety. I plan to arrive into my cities at a reasonable hour when I can take public transportation or take an Uber or taxi with, peace of mind. Number 3, not knowing your logistics upon arrival. Hotel addresses, phone numbers, your itinerary game plan, or where you're gonna go after arriving into a city. All these things you kind of want to know in advance. And the reason is when you leave baggage or you arrive fresh into a city from like an overnight bus or what have you, once you get out of that safety zone, you will be swarmed by taxi drivers or touts. And it can be overwhelming and disorienting. So for me, before leaving the airport, before arriving into a city, I like to mentally set myself how I'm gonna arrive at my hotel, any kind of backup information I need to have handy, my iPhone, make sure that's out, as well as like a printed itinerary. Number 4, being overly trusting, overly friendly, or overly paranoid. Basically being a little naive. If you're too paranoid, then you're not really gonna have much fun. So the solution is it's okay to be a little guarded. For me, when I'm traveling alone as a woman, I like to keep my car window rolled up 75%. And then if I get to know someone, then I'll roll that window down a little. If I feel like someone's sketchy, I'll roll that window up a little. Along that lines is number 5. Being too nice because you feel like you don't want to offend or be rude to someone. You might come across people who are pushy or aggressive, like touts. Whenever people approach you and they're being aggressive or pushy, you want to be firm. Best case scenario, it's a tout. Worst case scenario, it's a scam. You are responsible for your own safety. Check out my video on dealing with touts, where I share a little bit more on how to give that tough love. More travel mistakes not to make is 6. Telling strangers you're traveling alone. You don't know what a stranger's going to do with that information. And I understand that if it's a family or like a woman asking you, then you might feel like letting down your guard, but you don't know who's going to be listening around you. That could leave you open for potential scams, theft. What I do is I tell people that I'm going to meet a friend, or sometimes I'll say my boyfriend is waiting for me, or my husband is waiting for me at the hotel. I also always have a thumb ring, which I will put here on my ring finger, just in case people look down. Number 7, and this is my biggest or possibly worst travel mistake, which I still kind of make at times: over planning, or trying to do too much with the time you've got. When cities are distant from each other, I like to ballpark around 2 to 3 days at the very least per city. I like to leave some flexible wiggle room in the case things don't work out. Bus breaks down, train timetable is off or is late, and sometimes you just want a little room to like wander and let travel magic or serendipity happen. Another rookie travel mistake to avoid is number 8. Not researching local customs and etiquette. There's a reason why people are giving you a stink eye or like. So I like to always research dress etiquette, temple etiquette, gestures and signs. Some cultures don't hug. In other cultures, pointing the finger can be like a bad and rude thing. My first thing that I always research is dress etiquette, especially if I'm going to countries which are considered conservative or have very strong religious values. And seeing as we're on the topic of research, we have number 9, not researching the scams of a city or forgetting your street smarts. You want to be able to spot a scam, especially when it comes up to you and approaches you with a smile. My belief is safety is wherever you create it. Create the habit for it every time you travel. Number 10, not getting travel insurance. Maybe your baggage gets lost, there's trip cancellations, you get into a motorbike accident with another tourist, and then these days there's COVID. I actually travel with sort of like 2 travel plans. One is an annual travel insurance that I take through Allianz, and then the other one is through World Nomads, where I'll use to top off at specific destinations where I need a little bit extra coverage. There's one more travel insurance company that I'm kind of researching right now because they tout to be kind of like cheaper or more affordable. I'll leave all those links down below in my description box. As well as I am creating a checklist of this video. You will see it in that checklist should you download that downloadable checklist. Number 11, not informing your bank or credit card company that you are traveling. When you arrive at the airport and stick in your bank card, boom, rejected. What do? My bank is super secure. I mean, they will catch me for like the smallest infractions. You might have a bank like that, which is like super tight, where it's not only about the destinations you're traveling to, but sometimes if you are booking something like a hotel or a flight, and the company that you're booking with or through is in a different country, yeah, my bank will flag that. Another handy thing to do is always carry backup cash with you. Number 12, this is, I would say, beginner travel advice. Letting culture shock get to you and keep you in your room. You're overwhelmed. You just arrived into a strange new city and the culture shock is really getting to you. You're starting to feel like, can I do this? And it just feels easier for you to stay in your room and watch TV. I have been there on my first solo trip to India, Varanasi. The first day I arrived in Varanasi, I just kind of stayed in my room. The second day, I think I stayed in my room most of the day, and then I went out to eat. Take baby steps to get out there. One of the things that really turned or flipped my trip around was that I spoke to other travelers and they gave me their insight and their take on the city, as well as their enthusiasm and inspiration. And that helped me get over my fear. So we're at the midway mark. How are you guys doing so far? Let me know right now. Drop it in the comments section below how you guys are doing with the mistakes that I'm listing. Another travel mistake to avoid is opening your money in public. You will attract the wrong people. I like to give myself a daily allowance, which I keep accessible and on me. Usually I like to wear things like this, like a wrist wallet. I actually have a handful of wrist wallets where it has like a little zipper entry like that. Sometimes I'll use other things. Yes, I do also carry like a little money belt. You can check out my blog post right here on ways to avoid pickpockets and thieves. I have like a healthy list, I think like 24 or something like that. Number 14, compromising safety for a few dollars. Now I get it. We all want to save money, we all love a good deal and a good bargain. But staying in a sketchy hotel or arriving on a flight that gets into the city at 2 a.m. is not particularly safe. I always allow a little room in my budget for emergency splurges. My safety is something I like to budget for. A really big travel mistake a lot of people make is not trusting your instincts and intuition. Your intuition and your instinct actually get really super strong when you're traveling alone. Pay attention to your inner voices. If you trust it and you nurture it, it'll help you in regular life in ways that you can't even imagine. Another travel tip for beginners is number 16, drinking excessively. Now I know, I get it. You want to have fun, you want to go to a bar, you want to bar hop, you want to go night clubbing. When you're inebriated, your guard goes down. Know your tolerance, be responsible. Number 17, not paying attention to your surroundings and belongings. Look street smart. Look confident and aware of your surroundings wherever you go. I'll leave a link to my solo travel safety tips here in the description box. I created that video with the idea of street smarts. I actually learned my street smarts from living in New York City, which I think is one of the toughest cities to kind of like be naive in. Another travel tip for beginners, and sometimes even a little bit more, is number 18. Not budgeting well. You're stranded abroad with no money, your ATM doesn't work, and you didn't bring any backup cash. Pack a little bit of extra emergency cash. I take a couple of ATM cards with me in the case one doesn't work. Before I leave the airport, I make sure that I have some local currency on hand. Number 19, you got those high expectations. Now I get it, you've got the perfect itinerary planned. What could possibly go wrong? Your day tour sucked, the restaurant food wasn't good, the waiter was rude. This vacation is just a disaster. Solution, be realistic. This is your first time in a city. Personally, I try not to have any expectations. That way, if things happen, if I'm challenged or meet obstacles along the way, if the culture shock is great, I meet it with a sense of adventure. I always try to look at the optimistic side and how I can flip that little coin upside down. Any kind of seemingly failure of an idea, there's always an opportunity. Number 20. Not making an effort to meet the locals. Now, obviously, you don't have to meet everyone, but sometimes they're going to give you a stronger connection to the community, to the environment, and more insight into this exotic country or this exotic city that you spent hundreds to thousands of dollars to visit and be in. That local is your teacher and guide. This is your free e-course. This is your free schooling. They could also be your future friend. So, meet the locals. Another travel mistake to avoid is number 21. Not asking for help and thinking you have to do it all alone. You have resources. You have an airport information desk. You have the hotel front desk. You have tourism offices, the metro guards, group tours, local guides. Don't feel like you have to have an airtight solution to your itinerary. You can always find information along the way. Number 22. Booking the wrong hotel. I always have my first night at a hotel booked just because I like to have that extra security and to feel confident once I arrive into a city. The second night and on are kind of open and malleable. What's key is booking a hotel that's kind of like in the city center, and that's because obviously I'm traveling alone. I know for me, I'll be filming out late at night, which means I don't want to be running to the metro and trying to get the last metro out. Some people like staying at hotels far from the city center because they will feel like it's more authentic, more local. That's really up to you, but for first-time travelers, I always recommend getting a hotel in the city center, especially where other hotels are. That way, if you don't like the hotel, you can always just up and change to another one. We are getting towards the end. How are you guys doing so far with the travel mistakes? Are you kind of like checking a lot off your list, or have you been kind of like a pretty good traveler? Let me know in the comments section right now how you're doing. Number 23, forgetting your chargers, as well as forgetting other essentials that you might need. Being that a lot of us are hooked into our electronics, not taking our battery chargers are a big deal these days, along with like personal medication. In many cases, if you've already gone on your trip and you found out you're missing something, you can usually buy it at a pharmacy or one of the drugstores or a grocery store or a local market. But for specialty and branded items, you might find a little more challenge. It might be harder to find. So in that case, I'd say be proactive, create a packing list checklist. The night before packing, run through it, or while you're packing, run through it, and then run through it again. Number 24. Not being in touch. Having too much fun, maybe. You don't feel like taking time out to like call your family or touch bases with your friends, but it's always safe to let people know where you are so that you're accounted for in the case you go missing, God forbid. Keep in touch with your family. I always FaceTime my mom religiously, like every couple of days. I FaceTime her to let her know. And I kind of like to do kind of like a sightseeing thing for her. Keep in touch with your friends online, or maybe even do a simple check-in on Facebook, you know, one of those check-in features. Now I realize some of you guys out there, maybe you're living alone, you don't want to display that or broadcast that because obviously the wrong people get that information. You might come home to a house that's been ransacked. So you can always put that on privacy settings for your friends particularly and only. Number 25, being too stressed out to have fun. My silent underlying motto that I've held for several years and I've even placed on my channel at times is it's not a vacation until you survive it. And that's because travel can be stressful. Getting from point A to point B, observing culture shock, learning, adapting, these are all very active things. You're not passive. You're not just kind of like watching in your seat as the world goes by. You're getting your comfort zones tested. Remember to have fun. Smile. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity you're getting. Me, there's been a lot of ups and downs in my travels, and it's only surmounted into a lot of adventure that feels like I'm the heroine of my own movie. And I wish that for you. It's a really great feeling. So, how many of these rookie travel mistakes have you made? Let me know in the comments section below. Let me know what was your toughest mistake that you've learned from and how in the future you plan to avoid it. If you want a downloadable list of what I have in this video along with some extra tips, then I'll leave that link down below. Watch my solo travel tips series playlist where I share how you can budget, eat alone, survive long haul layovers, and more. So stay safe. Stay travel inspired, and may the GRRR be with you.